I'm not going to present myself very angry in this video, but I have noticed that the male loneliness thing that I posted about 2 years ago now is still getting a lot of attention from folks, and it really speaks to the spirit of the time, that guys just really don't get a lot of attention from anybody ever. And like, the other thing that's really sad about this for me is it doesn't really matter if you're good looking or if you have a lot of skills. It's just the spirit of our time definitely doesn't, I mean, it wants to prioritize the female spirits, the, you know, womanhood, etc. And I'm not one to put down women for any reason. I don't like conflict at all, but it does bother me, even coming from my own life, where just, you know, it doesn't really matter how much effort you put into. People don't really give you any validation on social media or online. A pretty woman can post a nice selfie of herself, and I would say, you know, unless you're unfortunately very unattractive, you're going to get more attention than somebody who is, you know, a good artist. And I mean, like, girls too, by the way. Like a very talented female artist who posts only her art is going to get less attention than a female but just posting selfies. So I mean, it could speak to human nature a little bit, but you know, I've learned not to worry about this sort of thing. In the end, does the validation really matter? Imagine if you actually did have that validation. Maybe you would be happy, but you yourself would probably still be the same person you are now. And you who have depression and anxiety would still suffer in similar ways to the present person who you're currently dealing with. And when I think about it that way, it's like, well, how about not idealizing the future and wishing that things could be better, but what can we do with our current moment? You know, not getting upset about how nobody pays attention to us and nobody cares because it's just a matter of life. But what justifies existence to yourself? Because you have a lot of time just to be here, you know, in the silence. I'm alone in my apartment right now. No one's here. And if this camera weren't on, I would just be in silence, thinking in my head, why is anything? What should I do? What's next? And without giving you guys concrete answers to those questions, I can just say that how I've personally answered them is creative endeavors, things to pass the time. And as an illustrator and a musician, it's pretty obvious that music and art have been the two things that have answered that problem for the majority of my life. And it could be different for you guys. Maybe you're into video editing, or you're, I mean, very different from me, and you're into law, and you want to focus on, you want to study something that, you know, I could never fathom being a part of my life. But either way, having something that orients you towards the future, it sounds so much like a certain guy I know, but orienting yourself sort of towards like a goal really does help. And in my case, last year I was extremely bummed out because I was away from family in a foreign country. I wasn't even really working an art job. I was, you know, very lost, and I was thinking, well, I still want to be an artist. I do happen to be fortunate enough to be in a relationship with somebody, but I'm still dealing with my own problems. What can I do to bear this, to justify the suffering to myself? And to me, it was, you know, drawing pictures in my sketchbook. So I have this little sketchbook here that I draw in almost every day when I go on the train. And I mentioned this in a previous video, but I've really kept up with it, where, you know, I look at people I don't know. Maybe some people would find this a little strange, but very famous artists I like do this, and it's a way to practice your life drawing. And while this isn't necessarily relevant to your loneliness personally, it's something that I can do 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even an hour every day, where when I'm done with it, I feel a true sense of satisfaction. I'm like, you know what, this is justifying the time. Existentially, I feel good, and I want to continue to do this. And if we take a look here, just, you know, here's what you just saw before, and here's what my sketches looked like a year ago. They were more like this. So I don't know if you guys can really see the difference much, unless you have like a keen eye. But I feel like my sketches got a lot sharper with time, and I feel like it's gotten me closer to, you know, the career that I might want to get in the future. And if I don't get the career, who cares? You know, I feel satisfied within. It's that creative spark, that creative itch that I have. And as long as I'm feeding it. I don't feel like a walking corpse. But in a time when, we're all glued to our phones and social media, and we're chronically online, it's very easy to forget to do the proper creative thing. And I don't blame you. I'm guilty of the same thing myself. But if you're in a rut in your life right now, here's a way to put it. Think of what would make your 8-year-old self cry. When you were 8 years old. What did you like when you were 8 years old, 12 years old? Was there ever a time when you were just, existing as a kid and then you were gravitating naturally towards your interests? Imagine talking to your 8-year-old self now and he's asking you about where you are. If my 8-year-old self talked to me right now, he wouldn't be super disappointed. He might be a little confused because I got a little bit into teaching. But I still draw and I still make music, and those are two things I very much enjoyed when I was younger. And maybe he wouldn't cry, I obviously want my 8-year-old self to be very happy, but he would certainly cry if he found out that I had given up drawing or had given up guitar entirely, which I haven't, I feel like maybe when we're kids, a part of ourselves is revealed, and then with time we have to learn not to lose that in the face of adulthood when it rears its ugly head. But all that to say that, it's always good to have a challenge, a distraction, something that orients you towards the future. Because if you don't, then that's when the negative thoughts start to saturate your mind, poison you from within. And a good friend of mine put it this way. It's a very common quote. Many of you guys have probably heard it. But being angry at somebody and expecting them, holding on to a grudge and expecting things to get better is very much like taking poison and expecting somebody else to die. I think that's what it was, but I don't want to talk too much at length about the same thing. However, finding a creative thing and pursuing it has been one of the better decisions of my life. And if you guys are seeing any improvements after watching this video, I invite you to join the Discord to maybe talk to us, and you can share your experiences. I'm always open to featuring people on my small channel, because that way I can open up a dialogue about something that very, very few people give a crap about. Hate to end it so short this time, guys, but I have to say thank you so much for always being supportive of my work, and I'll try to get videos out a little bit more frequently. It's just I have a full-time job now and working on student debt and all sorts of things. It's not as easy as it was when I was living at my parents' house. However, I love you all. Thank you so much. Really, I'm genuinely grateful that I can even post anything on the internet and people I don't even know are resonating with it. But I'm gonna leave it at that. You guys have yourselves a splendid Sunday, and I'll see you on the flip side. Cheers.